Hey guys, Dr. K, little cars and coaching vlog style. Actually going to drive over to a client. Was thinking about stress. Everybody always complains about stress. I'm so stressed, and this is stressful, and that is stressful. And actually, it's interesting. Kelly McGonigal from Stanford, I believe, had a good definition of stress. She describes stress as being something that we care about is being threatened or is at risk. And I think it's important to look at it from that perspective. What we need to understand, though, is all stress isn't bad. We need stress in order to actually drive us. Stress gives us motivation. Stress also, think about it from a gym perspective. When we stress our muscles, what happens? We end up hypertrophying. We end up getting stronger. So some stress is good, some stress is bad. The problem with bad stress is when we can't deal with it and we look at it as a threat. So when we look at something as a threat, we get a fight or flight response. What happens? We end up releasing different hormones. We end up releasing norepinephrine, that allows us to go ahead and get ready for fight. We release cortisol, which allows us to do the same things, and we activate the sympathetic nervous system. When we're relaxed, we activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So if we think of something as being stressful and it's a threat to us, we end up activating those hormones that can help us in the moment, but are kind of deleterious to us in the long run. However, if we look at stress as a challenge response, the hormone levels are released, but they're released in different quantities, and they tend to be more protective. So the cortisol and DHEA that are released during fight or flight are released in such a way that cortisol is higher than DHEA. But when it's released in a challenge response, there's more DHEA, which is neuroprotective, and there's less cortisol. So it's extremely important for us to remember that look at stress, it's what we tell ourselves from a mindset perspective. So the way you know the difference between a threat response and a challenge response is this. A threat response is where we feel overwhelmed and we don't have the resources to be able to respond. Whereas a challenge response says, hey, listen, this is going to be tough. I feel stressed, but I believe I have the resources to be able to overcome that, which is extremely important. And again, it all plays with mindset. It plays with a fixed or growth mindset. Remember, Carol Dweck did all the work on fixed and growth mindset, and a fixed mindset is one where you think you have a set amount of abilities to do things, and that's it. So those types of people that have fixed mindsets won't venture out. They won't go outside of their comfort zone. They constantly are trying to preserve the fact that they're smart. They won't take a risk because they don't want to look as though they don't know something. Whereas somebody with a growth mindset says, hey, listen, I may not be a genius, but I do know one thing. If I continue to work on something, I'm going to get better. I may never be perfect because no one's perfect, but I will get better. So remember that when you have stress, make it a challenge response, not a threat response, and that'll be protective for you. And always approach things with a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset.